What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sunday. And let me see. You got anything in here? What's up, Gil? Thank you for that. And it's not a Sunday fun day, although it will be because Rudy and I always have a good time. So, but it's not like what Gary and I do where we just run reels and we step outside of everything. We're actually going to talk about a few things today. And that's why I have this guest on who's been on 3-4 times. I don't even know. Known him years. And I probably was one of the first people to really go in depth with a real conversation that actually brought out a ton of information. So like the first time that I think we interviewed was great. I mean, literally there was nothing when I left that interview. Like, did we cover everything? It was like all covered. Everything was on the table about what you were doing. And guys, this is Rudy. He is the CEO founder of Fure. Yes, it is spelled FURE.CAB cab. That's their website, but it is free, like free.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about a couple topics, then we'll get into where you're at. But you want to give a quick hello and kind of let people at least know what you're doing. Like basically, it's an alternative that we'll get into in a little bit. But it's an alternative to the two companies here in America we're stuck with.
Yeah. The idea started in 2018, 2017. Me and my brother went out. We went to a bar, and we realized we didn't have enough money to actually pay for an Uber home. And then the question popped up was, how do we actually get a free ride home instead of paying? And that's how the idea got born. Free is simple. It's just you watch a couple of ads on your phone and you ask a couple of questions about the ads from the advertisers, answer them, and that's about it. And that's how we get paid. We don't. It's kind of funny because I seen an article about from Gerber Kawasaki about the margins that the rideshare companies make. 10% is kind of crazy, but it's the truth. We don't make money on the fares. We give pretty much 90% of the fares to the drivers.
Wait, what? Why is 10% crazy?
Because in the long term, especially for profits, and you're not making enough money. You're making enough to cover your bills. And if you wanted to hire more employees, you're not going to have that coverage there to actually pay for those employees.
Yeah, but I would also imagine that you would scale, and with growth of drivers, and if you take on a new city and you're just kind of maybe you're booming, maybe you're just doing really well. But I would assume that unlike the rideshare companies now who take it out of everybody, I would assume that you would find a new advertisers with deeper pockets. You would find other ways to make sure not the customer but somebody else is paying, so that you could somewhat raise rates and kind of justify a cost. Because my only concern, and I mean, obviously you've run your things, but my only concern is if you come in at 90, it's like what Uber did. They came in at an 80-20 split to my advantage. Now it's like 60-40, I'm 40.
Yeah, I know. Well,
so it's like those numbers can,
fluctuate.
Yeah.
But I've spoken to drivers, and drivers showed me on the app, like, hey, listen, I'm getting literally 40% or even 50% of the fare, where Uber in the very beginning was saying, oh, we'll give you 70% or we'll give you more. But then they realized, like, well, the only way they can actually make margin is that have more drivers start doing surge. We don't do surge. Surge doesn't make sense.
No.
So that's how a lot of these rideshare companies make money.
You don't do surge until you do surge. I'm just kidding.
No, no, it doesn't make sense.
I've spoken with you, and I guess we'll get in. We'll be getting into that. But I mean, like, your model for the driver is a lot different too.
Yeah, totally.
Like, it's not just an Uber or a Lyft with a twist, and they're just getting pings and stuff. This is more like you've got people, if I remember it correctly, unless you've changed it, you've got people who are kind of like, this is your area. Yeah, so that they're not going to have like bumper to bumper competition of who's closest to a ping. They just are going to have that area, and they're going to work it for you.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, as you scale, you make the area smaller because you have more riders. and therefore, you know, you can add more drivers to the. I got it before. I thought it was a great idea, you know, because you were even talking about like trying to help them with. I don't know where you are with the cars or any of that stuff either. You know, I mean, there was talk of vehicle, and I can't remember what you were thinking about doing with the vehicles.
We're gonna do a car. We decided not to do a car with Tesla for a lot of reasons. A lot of investors said X, Y, and Z about this, and I just put my foot on the floor and said, "All right, we're gonna go with someone else." I'm not gonna say who it is yet, but you know, I felt bad
Is it
because we
Hugo?
actually had no, no, but
That'd be awesome if
a
it
lot of
was.
investors, yeah, a lot of
I would
investors
call for a Hugo
were
ride.
like. I remember them box lights. The car
Oh, dude,
when I was
they
growing
were
up, I
like
actually seen that car.
59 night. They were like 5,900 off the lot, brand
Yeah,
new.
brand new. And it's funny because there's a massive crowd in the United States that actually has them, and they cruise around. They go up to short car shows, and I'm like, holy cow, this thing's still
Because they're
this
still
car is literally
running.
35 years old and it still runs. Yep,
Exactly, dude. Because that's like Yugoslavian metal. It's like crap. Like I remember I'm
it
from Michigan.
worked.
I remember one of those. It was a winter when I lived in Michigan. I remember one of those being below. The wind came in, and I hate to laugh at this because the person died, but it picked up the Yugo and flipped it off the Mackinac Bridge into Lake Superior.
Wow, wow.
While other cars are all around going, "What the?" It went up like a kite. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, guys, don't worry about it. You'll never see a Yugo. Most of you are probably so young that you're going, I don't know what you guys are talking about. It was just a very cheap
No,
vehicle.
yeah.
It wasn't around a long time. It wasn't anything pretty. It was boxy, and you got what you paid for.
Exactly. But it
But
worked.
anyway, moving forward, you are looking at another partnership with another car. I mean, you don't have to say, obviously, you can't yet, or a partnership. But regardless, are you still looking to put the drivers in a car then? Like not
Yeah.
there,
No, not
or a
yeah.
mix
So
of
we
both,
have
or-
it's going to be two modes. One mode will be the driver gets a car, he drives it around, he maintains it. We give him a gas card, we give him a maintenance card, we give him everything he needs to make sure the car runs and cleans. You know, it's clean and everything, so he can actually make his money.
Mhm.
The flip side, down the road, we're going to go autonomous to an extent. The problem with autonomous now is that it's a
It doesn't work.
lot of roads in the United States aren't built for
Wait a minute, I'm losing your video. Hold on.
it. Number two, signage. There's a big problem.
Hold on. I'm losing your sound there. Um, hey Rudy, can you exit the studio and then come back in? Because you froze up. I can't let there be dead air. What's up, everybody? What's up, Derek? Are you still in here, Derek? What's up? Rudy, if you're hearing me, you got to just remove yourself from the studio, leave this window, and then relaunch the StreamYard link I sent you because you completely froze. Look at him frozen. Here, maybe I need to do it. Yes. Okay, there. What's up, everybody? I see some people in here, but no chat. Yeah, I'm sure you guys are working. Hold on in case I get a text here about. Oh, there he is. Perfect. Waiting for his video. Hey, what up, Rodney? Nope. There we go.
Sorry about that. The internet
No,
just went. Yeah.
I remember. This is how well I know Rudy. Like we've had this issue before, and like sometimes his internet's great, and sometimes it hits these pockets that must flow through Philadelphia because it'll pocket and it does this, and I'm like actually used to it. It's kind of funny.
So
What's up,
anyway,
Derek? What's up, Rodney?
The autonomous thing for us made sense, but not now. One, because a lot of states in the United States aren't ready for it. A lot of folks that I've spoken with in these states are saying, it's a great idea, but we're not ready. We don't have laws in place. We don't have regulations in place.
I think
We don't have rules
you
in
got cut
place.
off. I think you were getting to infrastructure too, which is one of the biggest. The infrastructure is
Yeah.
not at all. I mean, I've
Uh,
talked to look. I mean, even Derek Kashashawi walked some words back last week, which I thought was pretty funny because he always has the moving target, and it's always we'll be autonomous next year, and it's been like that since 2019. We'll be autonomous in 2020, 2021, 20, and then it was drivers don't have to worry for 10 years, and then but now it's this whole thing where he actually made it. He actually brought it into a more reality, a
yeah.
palatable thing I can actually digest because I've talked to engineers at Cruise. I've had those people on the podcast. I'm very familiar where the space is at. And actually,
Yeah.
I thought I was going to have to beat around the bush. They were very forward in telling me exactly what. No, dude, there will not be robot cars driving. First of all, they have to be integrated with people. And they
Yeah.
most of them even say it's an all or nothing deal. That's what they've told me.
Yeah. Yeah.
They said that, listen, like first, they've even said things like your generation needs to die off because you guys will never accept it fully. You're going to have your gas cars. So I mean, like they were kind of all alluding to the fact that listen, it's going to have to be this whole everything's going to have to be 100% autonomous when it's real or
Yeah.
zero.
Yeah.
And until then, there will be lanes. There will be lanes built, but that's the infrastructure part. It's not there.
Oh,
And then we talk about rideshare. It's like, dude, if you don't have a driver in there, you know, I mean, have we not learned from San Francisco? They're getting tagged. People throw up in them. They have sex in them. They leave
yeah. Yeah.
in them. They leave
Yeah.
drugs in them. And there's
Yeah.
not a driver there to deal with that. So the
Nope.
next person that's calling for it could be like a mom and her son. And two drug addicts just did heroin and had sex in the car.
Yeah. Or if they drop fentanyl on a seat or whatever, and the kid, wipes his hand on it,
Exactly.
it's lawsuit forever.
If they sent fentanyl, they just
Yeah.
called it autonomous, threw the duffel bag in, said, "Go to my friend's house. Here, you deliver the drugs." It took it to
Yeah.
them. They picked it
Yeah.
up. I mean, I don't know. I think there is some kind of sensor that the person's in the car, but nonetheless, um, I don't know. I don't. Every time somebody brings up autonomous, I'm like, tell me one thing that's real about it, or what you think is going to happen. And they're like, it's going to be here next year. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell you 100 reasons why that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I always
Autonomous
tell people, I'm like, tell me one thing, and I'll tell you 100 that backfire.
autonomous in reality, it's 25 years out down the road. It's
Yeah,
not in 5, it's not in 10. We don't have the infrastructure in place. We don't have the rules and
like I
regulations
said,
in place.
you and I have to be dead
Yeah, exactly.
because we
Exactly.
won't like we'll accept it coming around in a safe way, but we still like gas cars, dude. You're not going to change us on that.
No. Um I got so many subjects I want to talk about. Tip baiting. I actually went into a whole thing with a bunch of drivers out in Jersey and also in Philadelphia Airport and also in Atlanta the last 4 weeks. Um, these guys are really upset. They're upset to the point that, like I said before, they're leaving the platform. They're going onto other platforms. Guys said to me, is there anything we can do about it? Call your reps saying, hey, listen, I want to pass a law and put a bill together in their state saying, hey, it should be illegal. I met a guy at Philadelphia Airport. The guy, they told him, was like, oh, it was literally $1,000 order. We'll give you $200 if you do the order. $200. You got zero.
I guess it's so weird to me because you remember, like, I mean, pre-pandemic, I actually don't believe in, or I don't do them anyway. I don't do the tips and tricks, and here's how you put a
Yeah,
bag in the door and all that stuff.
yeah,
But I used to do some things like, I used to just kind of in the moment I'd say things about what I was really doing in rideshare. And I remember the days of having to somebody go, I'll tip you through the app. And that always meant I'm not getting a tip, period.
yeah, no,
So
no,
I developed this thing that I've told a few people who still use it to this day, but it's not as common that people are doing that. But I mean, because everybody knows about it now. But I mean, this is when it was first coming on, and they're like, "I can tip you through the app, right?" And I'm like, "Hey, yeah, before you leave, can you show me how you do that? Because I have people ask me all the time, and I don't know how to do it. So could you show me?" And they're
yeah,
kind of like, yeah." And so I knew they could get out of the car and remove it.
Yeah.
But I also knew, like, dude, we had that interaction that a server and or a bartender and a
Yeah.
customer has. Like, you know my face now. Like, now I was
Yeah.
smiling at you. I was like happy. I took you where you needed to go safely, and we had that interaction. You put a tip in. If for you to pull it out makes you worse than a tip maker.
Yeah.
That would make you
Yeah.
just a human trash.
Yeah.
So
I think the problem, the problem that's happening now, it's gotten so prevalent in the industry is that, a lot of these guys I've spoken with, even girls, they're just like, if the order's not big enough, I'll take it. If the order is like under $10, pass, 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 pass. And
mhm.
then it's kind of funny because a lot of these apps realize why, this is happening, but they're not doing anything about it. So when I speak to a lot of these drivers, I'm like, listen, call your elected rep saying, listen, I want a rule or a regulation or a law in place that prevents this. And a lot of it falls on deaf ears. A lot of folks are just
It
like,
it it does. And I, I was gonna say I kind of get it. Like, if you told me call your elected rep, I've now for years been dealing with elected reps.
yeah,
No problem. Tomorrow I'd be on the phone. I'd have to look up some things, and I might want to make more than one call even. And I kind of know how all that works. But when you say it to people who have never done it, it's just another thing in life that they've
yeah,
never done before. And they're just
yeah,
like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, give me a box to check right here that I'm in with you and I'm down with what Rudy's saying, and I'll do it. But if you're going to make me call somebody and talk,
no,
and they're like, I'm
no,
done. Like,
yeah,
and it sucks because it's a huge cause. And again, guys, everybody listening should realize that the other side calls. And when 10 of the other side calls that wants to be unionized or whatever they want at the moment, and then none of us call who all want something better, they actually start to think that that's what's wanted, though. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Because
yeah,
like
yeah,
the assistant or the secretary to a senator or a house member would like say, hey, we got 10 things about they want to be unionized. And how many did we get against it? Zero. Like, I mean, they don't scale it. They just say these 10
no,
are actually taking the time to write in. It is a problem. This is why a lot of bad legislation passes, because the activists who really want things, even if they're not in our space, they want to tell us how we're going to work. There are people who
yeah.
don't even work in our space and fight for how we will be labeled.
That's another subject that's kind of crazy because there's a bunch of laws out there that don't make sense, and there's a bunch of laws that, like the Colorado law that just came out. Incredible piece of legislation. I love it. I'm for it. But it still needs a little tweaking here and there. But other than that, it's a beautiful piece of legislation.
See,
Um,
you also, I don't know if you're familiar, but in January 1st, the DNC
yeah,
um, transparency law went in effect. Is it perfect? No. Is it a hell of a lot better? Yeah. And then the TNC on February 1st, which Uber was trying to pull a bunch of games with that one too, where it has to be full transparency. We're not like California or Seattle or New York asking for
yeah,
120% of minimum wage on the active time we work while on a platform, because that just allows the platforms even more control to just not let us work as much. So it
yeah,
doesn't matter. Like, if you get into a dollar amount, you're fighting for the wrong things in your state. We
yeah,
fought for just transparency. And the other thing that we fought for was a right to a human review of any deactivation. And we got it.
yeah, yeah,
So if you get deactivated and you get that email, you've been deactivated, you call and you get no answer about it, or you get somebody that does call you back and says, oh, you did this, or even if they do, or they let you back on 3 months later, that's not the case here anymore anyway, or it shouldn't be. I don't know anybody that's had to go through the process. It's only been in place a couple of months, but if you get deactivated and you think I did not do anything, you can challenge it and you get a human review of 7 people.
yeah.
So
Um,
it
it,
completely removes it from the algorithm. The 7 people have the final say.
yeah. That's something that we need to put in place in every
And
state in the United
and
States.
my point was it cuts down on the tip baiting,
Oh,
because now
100%.
when you show the full transparency, and this goes for Uber too, because DoorDash is harder to remove a tip, but Uber Eats and Uber Rideshare, you
Hmm.
can put it in after the fact, you can retract it, you can do anything you want. But it makes it tougher for them now too. At first, people were a little confused by it, but all you have to do is and I think it's starting to end. But if a tip is removed or changed, because it can't even be upped, it's very strange. So you see it all up front, like, so you'll see base pay $1,
Yeah.
and then you'll see the total. You don't see tip, but you know how to do the difference. Take the base pay off the total, and that's the tip.
Yep.
So, you'll see it up front, and you might see base pay $12, tip or total $12 to deliver food. And you're like, damn, I was going to like do a great job because I thought this guy was tipping me 10 and Uber was paying me 2, but Uber's
Yep.
paying me 12 because the food's been sitting around, and this person didn't tip at all. Now you see it. But here's the thing about the tipping. If the tipping is in place and after the fact they want to remove it, they are treating it as it should be. They are treating it as a bid for service. So when you accept whatever you accepted is what you will get paid. If Uber and Lyft and DoorDash and all these companies want to give refunds to the customers, that's totally their prerogative, but it comes out of their pocket.
Yeah.
They have to pay you what doesn't match or what matches your offer screen.
It's wild. Talking to a lot of these drivers is just that, like, they feel like they're pawns at the end of the day, and it's upsetting. Not only me, because I've done it for a long time, but then you realize, like, hey, we can change this. Listen, in the United States, just in the United States alone, we're close to about 3 million drivers out there in all 50 states.
Mm-hmm.
If we got unionized and actually said, hey, these are the rules, these are the things that we want, they'll eventually happen, because at the end of the day, people are like, you know what, this is something that's, it went from being a need now to a want, because now people will have to have the service, because either they don't drive, they have a DUI and they can't drive, or they can't, they're handicapped and they can't drive. There's a lot of, rhyme and reason why the service is needed. But on the flip side, we are a service that we provide to the public. Listen, people got beat up, people got hurt, people got, a Glock 9 to their forehead, and like, hey, listen, give me your phone, I want to empty your bank account. And you hear these stories all the time, but a lot of these platforms, that's not my problem. That is not my problem. We're only a technology company. This is what we do, and this is it. But they're not providing something to the driver, saying, hey, we're gonna put some certain safeguards in place that make sense for us. No.
Now, I've talked to Sergio, I've talked to the rideshare professor, all the people I would talk to whenever because when we discuss legislative things, I always get in with those guys first, kind of thing, see where they're at with it. Doesn't mean we always see eye to eye, but we've always had this thing about the Uber playbook, and, oh, this is their playbook. They're going to leave Colorado. They're not going to leave anybody. Just settle down. But I've read this a few times. I actually do see where they could leave. Yeah. This is a hell of a detriment to them. I think like Rudy's saying, it's great. I already think everybody, even not gig workers, should already have a dash cam. It shocks me how many people just don't, even just any day people driving. You should have, I'm just saying, everybody needs one. I don't see them on as many cars as I should.
One, it's cost. Two, are they getting some sort of benefit from using it? Yes and no. If from the legal point of view, if I get pulled over and a cop says you did the X, Y, and Z, bro, I got it on a dash cam. What you're saying is not true.
Which is very common these days, much more so than it used to be, a hit and run.
Yeah.
You have the plate. So even a cheap one is my point. There's $40 ones on Amazon that are SD cards. I use a monitoring platform where I can pull the footage off the cloud in a minute's time, or in a half a minute's to my phone, and all this crazy stuff. So mine's a little more, but I have to pay a monthly service fee. But it's worth it to me because it also does real analytics, which these apps have tried to do, and I match them up together and they don't work. Like DoorDashes are just a joke. But it's, so this other House bill now that's a standalone is, so you get why this would really hurt them, though. They have to provide, so they can't just say, oh, you have a dash cam, cool. They have to provide a cloud uploading dash cam. First of all, those get very expensive. The dash cam, I'm sure Uber could work out a deal where they're getting them all for $20 a piece. So it's not that's still pricey, but then the cloud part and the data is so expensive because it has to have its own line. It has to have its own phone line to be able to send the data up. So Uber's going to we have 30,000 drivers in this state. Uber will have to put in, even if you're if you are active on the app and you've done a ride in 3 months, they have to put one in your car.
Yeah.
So like even if I did
Again,
one ride 2 months ago and I haven't done a ride since, they have to put one in my car. But it also has to run 100% of the time. So
yeah,
I think it's great for the safety of the customers and me, the driver. However, I don't like that. I already have one of those going. So our safety is covered. If something happened, I know most people don't. That's the problem. But if something happened, I can even tell like if we got rear-ended, customers hurt, I can say, no, I got it all on dash cam. I got their plate, everything, already sending it to my lawyer. Like we're good, and they would know that. But now so I'm okay being videotaped. I'm okay with them being videotaped. I don't know how at all okay I feel with the fact that Uber is going to be the storage facility of that data.
yeah.
And I
Because
don't mean
then,
I don't just mean the camera. I mean in the cloud, because they can
yeah,
be audited at the end of the year for any claims that were made. They can audit, like, we need this person's footage from this time to this time on this date. Uber has to have all of it.
yeah,
So therefore, like, look how often Uber gets hacked. And I mean,
all
what
the
would
time.
people do with our dash cam footage? Who knows? I don't know. Create fake AI people of us that drain our accounts. I don't know. But I'm just saying, I don't like Uber gets hacked every day. I don't like them being, they're not a technology company. They're a dispatch company. They've always played technology company when it suits them,
Yeah,
and now it's, now it's like safety that we've seen every safety thing not work. Say my name. No, get in the car. That's your name. It's 2 a.m. Say my name. Like, okay, well, I know
yeah,
you waited, and here's your name. You've been waiting an hour and 15 minutes. You want to wait another one?
yeah,
Like, all right, I'll get in. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, like all these things, like, remember when they told the passenger if they got in the back seat to make sure the child lock wasn't
yeah.
on the door? Dude, please. Like, I don't think I ever saw anybody do that.
Nope.
I've never done it even. And I occasionally use Uber. So like I've never done it. I've never checked. Oh my God, child safety. Oh, good. He won't kill me then.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
It's nuts. It's really,
nothing has worked. In the UK, they have these lanyards. You don't
yeah,
have to go through the same training as a black cab, but
yeah.
you have to go through a 3-month crash course, and it works for all your gig apps, but for rideshare especially, you wear a lanyard, and when the person comes to the car, it detects an RF reader through the app on the driver, and it shows a picture of the driver, it shows their
Hmm.
driver's number in the app, and this is Uber's app. So
Yeah,
Uber in the UK knows we got to do it the right way. So don't even think that all these methods they've been like, well, say my name didn't work, check the child lock didn't work, this PIN number didn't work. Like, nothing's worked because they're not trying.
no.
But in the UK, they have to try because there's some very serious TNC standards there. Otherwise, they would be shut down in London.
It's almost like the United States needs a TNC Caesar, you know, to run the show in the States. It's like the stories again, like the stories that I hear from drivers and especially riders, like, hey, I got locked in. He wouldn't let me out. He took me on a long route. Like, the girl fell asleep. Like there's the famous one where the girl fell asleep. She gets to her house, 3 hours later, and it's $1,000 charge. And you're like, what? I only live 20 minutes away. How's it $1,000? It's mind blowing. Again, the drivers that are watching, call your representatives, call your state representatives, call your elected officials. Say, listen, I want my rules and regulations. I want my rights. I want to get X, Y, and Z for my state. Nothing's going to change. You're still going to have the same problems. You still have the same headaches because these state elected officials don't know. They're not in the business. They don't understand. The only way they're going to understand is that you educate them, saying, hey, listen, this is what happened. This is what we need to get done. These are the rules that we need to have in place.
That's the conversation I'm having with states that want a Prop 22 like prop thing where I'm saying, hey, ours isn't perfect, but check out this transparency deal.
Yeah.
I'm actually talking to people who are way more familiar lawmakers than they used to be. And through connected people that I know that are putting me in touch with other states, politicians, like,
Yeah.
They're like this close to signing Prop 22. And I'm like, whoa, hold up.
Yeah, they don't realize because a lot of these platforms are saying, "Hey, we want this in place because it's going to protect the drivers." Read the fine print. Just read the fine print. Or talk to the drivers. Have the state elected officials talk to the drivers. Say, "Hey, does this make sense? No, all right, we won't do this." Then give us something, a bill that actually makes sense for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
It,
I mean, and that's another thing. When you don't even have a drivers forum or you don't have conversations with drivers before you pass these laws, think about the logic in that, morons. Because absolutely drivers need to be involved before you ever sign any of these laws into place.
Because they don't know. They're not, like I
if you
said, they're
think
not in
you've
the
got this,
business.
the hottest idea ever, and you're gonna make it law, or you're gonna push for it to be law, you damn well better be talking to focus groups of drivers who can really evaluate it and go, dude, I see 100 problems here. Let me tell you.
It's the problems escalate when it gets to the point where, oh, we screwed up. We should never made this into law. It's like with Prop 22. A year later, that's when they realized, like, oh, this was bad. This wasn't good piece of legislation. This was the worst.
Right.
You gave more control.
You know what? We're gonna organize and strike. And then it was like, and I remember this moment. It was in 2022, and they were like, "We're gonna organize and strike because this isn't doing it for us." And I remember the lawyers for their own side coming out and going, "Well, actually, that's the only thing you agreed not to do. You agreed not to do one thing by signing up for Prop 22 when you voted for it and wanted it. You said you wouldn't do this one thing. Now you want to do that one thing."
Yeah.
Like,
Because they never talk to the
anyway.
drivers.
And then Drivers United was like, let's strike. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Anyway. But yeah, so this 1291, I mean, I know that it sound like the part about it does give every driver a dash cam. Of course, I like that. I don't like, I mean, like, it should almost be like a third party. And I'm not talking about some cheap company like Checker. I'm talking about like, it should be a real company that stores data like Argyle. Argyle might be too expensive for these guys. I don't know. But Argyle is the best storage of I've met those guys, and they are a multi-million. I mean, they're even more. They are the best at data storage. They have all of our information. Argyle.io. And if you guys go there, I mean, they handle everything of everybody's. Well, even if it's pricey, if I would rather see if this, first of all, I'm not sure where I fall with this, but if this was happening, I would rather the data be sent to Argyle server and stored in case the state account, like a third party that's responsible.
Yeah. It makes more sense.
Hacked, that doesn't, I mean, Uber's been just
flaky,
trashy. Uber's been trashy since the day I met them. And there was about a good year or two, but then they were like, they started becoming the hoe of town, and then they became the full blown slut. And I don't know, man, it just felt like, what's going on with this company, dude? Like, literally, they'd lie, they'd steal, they'd
finagle.
I'm no
they
joke.
Do a lot of things.
These are all the things they do.
Yeah, but it's funny because I had an investor saying, how are you going to beat them? I was like, beat them at their own game. Yeah, and that's the best way of looking at it. And that's why I developed the service. But at the end of the day, again, I implore a lot of drivers that are watching or listening to this, call your state reps. The only way things get changed at your local level is that you talk to them and saying, listen, these are the things that we need to get done. And these are the things that are happening to us out in the street. We have no security. We have no protection. We have no regulations or rules in place to actually save us. A bad statistic now that I've read about two and a half weeks ago is that now every 3 days a new driver dies. A rideshare driver dies either because of gunfire, assault,
in the United States or
in the United States. In the United States, it's every 3 days now, and it's unfortunate because there's nothing to protect them. There's no cameras in place. There's nothing.
I know we see a lot more murder, a lot more of that, but I mean, how much of it is accidents and stuff, though? Did you see any of the breakdown of what it was attributed?
Yeah, I'll email it to you. But a lot of it is broken down. But the crazy part about it is that, again, For the guys watching this, the guys hearing this, just talk to your state reps. The only way you're gonna get things changed, the only way you're gonna get a camera in a car is talking to them and saying, "Hey, these are the things that we need. These are the things that we want. These are the things that support us." A lot of these apps that are out there now, they don't care about drivers. They don't care about us. I've done this for a bunch of years already. I've seen a lot of the problems that they were having, and then fast forward, we're now in 2025. It's the same. It's on loop. It's the same thing over and over and over again. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again to get a different result. You're never going to get a different result. You're going to get the same result doing it at the same time all the time.
Yeah. And there's some, I said the other day, because a couple times recently, the write-off of mileage went up 2 different times in the last 18 months. But right now it's sitting at, what is it, 70 cents that you write off a mile for workable miles. It's amazing. A lot of markets don't have a rate card anymore. It's the upfront pricing, and maybe you could go find an old rate card in some markets, but for the most part, I think it's been removed. Like, they don't really have that. And if I was them, I wouldn't either, because it was embarrassing. Like an Uber X car in markets was paid 55 to 65 cents when I knew of the last rate cards that were out per mile. Now, there's something wrong with the model when the per mile rate, you're going to make more on the write-off.
Oh man.
I mean, I'm sorry. Like, it is that simple. If you are making 55 cents a mile, but you get to write off 70, you're making 15 cents more on your write-off. And that's a true write-off. Like, you can write every dime of that off if it's legit. So you're making more just covering your taxes than you are doing the work.
It's mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing.
It's more wild because when you start looking at it, again, like you said, not every state has rate cards up there, but a lot of states require now, because it's part of the TNC for that state to actually have a rate card on there, because a lot of the platforms are basing their rate card based off what the taxis are doing in that local area. Like in New York City, $1.25, now it's almost $2.10. How's Uber going to compete against that? So Uber goes, all right, cool. You charge 210, we're going to charge 190. At the end of the day, you sit there and I'm like, all right, cool. Now you're doing apples to apples and you're doing peanuts to peanuts. And then when you start looking at other states at their rate card, oh, we don't do it no more because now it's a free for all.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think in every market, there's some way to get to, like, if you're seeing all these upfront offers and you're like, where are they coming up with these? First of all, none of us know. But second of all, I think there is some place in the app, no matter, like, I know that, like, I mean, an example, just so to get you guys all on the same page, when I say that markets can be different with where they're at with the app, Boise, Idaho still doesn't have a tier system with DoorDash. They still have Top Dasher at 50%. Okay, that left everybody told me that left every market 2 years ago. Well, it didn't, because it's in Boise today. So my point is, sometimes they just don't ever update a system in a smaller market, or even a decent sized market. They just don't. They're like, if I think they're like, if that's working,
why change it?
Yeah, like, we're not getting as oversaturated in Boise, Idaho as we do in Denver and LA and Philly and stuff. So let's just leave them with their 50% Top Dasher.
Which
so
is mind blowing, because a lot of I met a girl out in Austin, Texas, and she showed me on the app that she was one of the top dashers out there, and she was like, I'm not making enough because, one, the market's saturated. She said that, she goes, I've met close to about 60 to 70 other dashers out there, and they're top dashers. What? Wait a second. What do you mean? And then she explained, she goes, well, the problem was that I started Austin when it first came here. And then over the time, she was getting the bigger bags. But then all of a sudden, when they opened it up bigger, when the market got oversaturated, she went from being the 1 percentile to down to 50 percentile. Yeah. I'm like, holy smokes. You're not in other words, the market's getting so saturated that, all right, you get a job, your next job is not going to probably happen for another 2 hours or 3 hours.
Yeah.
And it's mind blowing, because you sit there and I'm like, well, these guys are not making enough money.
Well,
they're sitting out there.
Sadly, I mean, especially food. I mean, groceries probably the same. They say it's up, but it's probably the same. But food orders are down. Whether
Yeah.
the companies are charging a lot more, and they can even say we are making more now than we were last year. Yeah, but you're making it off 2/3 of the orders. That
Yep.
your volume is gone. But I think, I mean,
Well,
to be honest, I always said, I never put a date out there. I'm no Nostradamus. I never said, this date's going to, I'm not the autonomous person that's going to lie. but my point is that like, like I always knew after the pandemic, because it was barely working before the pandemic. I always knew the pandemic, wow, that boom. And then I knew they
yeah.
can't stay there forever.
No.
I mean, the first year of the pandemic, none of us really knew what to expect in the next year. So, I mean, I wasn't even thinking into things like that. How long will DoorDash be around? Like, that's not where I was. But as I saw the world somewhat recover to wherever it is now, like, and people are back out and things like that, I always knew, well, this will fall back down. Maybe not to the old levels. It's still going to have a value for sure. But I mean, here's why we know it's the fact. Because rideshare was down, and what did they do? They added Uber Teen, the most horrible option they've ever added. Now what are they doing? They're saying first meals free if you set up Uber Eats Teen or DoorDash Teen. DoorDash Teen. It's not just gum. Like
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing to me. Like they know that we don't have enough volume with the parents. Let's get the kids ordering on the parents' credit cards.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's Hail Mary time. It's not quite that dramatic, and there is an oversaturation problem. But at the same time, I would argue that W2 world is struggling too. I mean,
Yeah.
if you were to say, dude, screw this, and I wouldn't blame you. I can't make these work. I mean, I've always said, if you can't make them work, add others, try different times, do what you can. But if you just can't in the end of the day, then you're going to have to move on. And some people aren't built for the service industry, and it is the service industry.
It is.
So, I mean, it might not be waiting tables, but
there's no slicing and dicing. It is a service industry. But at the same time, a lot of these, platforms are starting to realize like, hey, how can we milk more out of this? Like I've been reading that people now, restaurants are getting, blackballed for saying, hey, listen, if you don't sign up agreement with us for $1 million or whatever the price is, you're not going to be on the app. You're going to be on the bottom of the list. You're not going to be in the top 10.
Right. And
which is,
you'll like, somebody opens the app, and if you are some like offbeat restaurant that isn't a chain, but you're awesome and amazing, and the people who know, you're not going to be seen ever.
No.
They would have to search for your exact name. It wouldn't even auto-generate the word.
No.
So like if you're searching, so like you'd have to know the exact name of the place, because otherwise it's going to be buried under all the bonuses and the companies that do pay them. But I think there's going to be a lot more exclusive deals too. I think that one place can be with Uber Eats, one place can be with DoorDash. I even think cities might be that way. One city might become 90% DoorDash or 90% Uber Eats and only 10% the other, because they're sick of fighting for it. They'll keep a presence, but they're not gonna.
No, it's wild, because when you read these articles and you talk to these people, to these restaurant owners, because now we're getting to that phase of the startup now, starting to go in a restaurant saying, hey, listen, we're going to do free deliveries. And they perk their eyes like, how does that work? And then I explained, they're like, oh. And then when you hear the horror stories saying, hey, they try to swindle us like, $10,000 to be the number one on the app all the time. And then you're like, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, we're almost getting bamboozled to actually sign up with the company saying, hey, listen, we'll provide X, Y, and Z for you, but in return, we get X, Y, and Z providing that service to you. Being on top of the list, you get quicker times, you get, less fees, blah, blah. I'm like, this is not an open playing field for everybody. Not every single restaurant's getting the same treatment. One restaurant's getting first. Some restaurants, the McDonald's, every time I open the app, I'm like, McDonald's is always number one. But I don't eat McDonald's.
Yeah.
Why you keep showing me McDonald's all the time?
McDonald's does the most volume. And when I was with Para, we learned something that just horrified me. You hear people say like, dude, why am I going to the McDonald's by the airport when I just need to deliver it right there across the street from where I'm at? There's a McDonald's right here. You've heard that, right? The
Yeah.
reason is McDonald's has par levels at all of their locations worldwide. So once
Yeah.
one has hit its par for the month, they start making you drive 20 miles each way, even though there's a McDonald's right there. They'll make you drive 20 more miles each way to get that delivery done and come back to the same zone to get the par up for the airport McDonald's, let's say.
Yeah.
And then that way they get the best deal, or they get the no charge, or whatever they get with these places. But they have to par up at all the places. So I was always like, dude, you idiot. There's a McDonald's right here. And people used to say, I bet you they just hit the wrong McDonald's. I used to think that. No, they don't. They
Oh,
literally do this on purpose.
yeah.
It,
A
it's,
lot
I
of the
mean, it's,
restaurants, a lot of those restaurants are also, franchisees. So they're trying to get a piece of the pie as well, saying, hey, listen, I'm going to be part of this racket too. What do I got to do? Oh, you want an extra $30,000 in advertising and blah, blah for our restaurants? Sure.
mhm.
Steve, I opened up the app to do my orders. McDonald's is all the time on top of the list. I'm like, I don't want McDonald's. I want Wendy's. I want something else. I want this pizzeria. I'm like, I don't want. Why do you keep pushing McDonald's on
Well,
me?
wait till the day comes when you do order something, and then it's like, would you like some McDonald's fries with that?
Yeah,
And you're not even ordering from McDonald's. You're like, dude, no, stop
I
trying
I
to shove
got
McDonald's down
I
me, man.
I got an order like that where the guy actually wanted a frosty, a chocolate frosty. He wanted a Wendy's burger, and he also wanted an Arby's um, curly fries or something like that. And I'm literally going to each one. I'm like, I put the bags together and I gave it to him. The guy was like, "Oh, you're a lifesaver." And I just, jokingly, I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "Well, the fries suck at McDonald's. The shake sucks at Wendy's." Well, I'm like, "Oh my god!" And then you realize eventually we're going to get to that point now with a lot of these apps where, hey, listen, you can do mix and match. Where you
Mhm.
order saying, "Hey, I want the fries from here. I want the shake from here. I want from that." This happened 2 years ago, and then you realize like, oh, this is going to start becoming a thing within the next year and a half,
Yeah.
which is mind
No,
blowing.
no, I mean, they've been doing what the rideshare companies did. They've just been undercutting each other in a race to the bottom, and then now they're trying to figure out this pay thing while the volume drops too, and while they're charging customer more and getting fined by the cities. And by the way, I needed to caveat something from earlier when we were joking around a bit, and Rudy was saying that you should reach out to your elected officials. I absolutely fully support that. I hope you guys would. And I've always said, email me. I've actually had people email me and helped them. Email me if you're just like, dude, I have no idea what to do. I mean, like, I'll look up your state, I'll look up your area and who your representatives are. I'll kind of help. I'll get you the emails. I'll give you something to kickstart you. So if you email Steve at ridesharerodeo.com, I'll email you back and I'll say, like, well, here's your officials, here's their emails, and then just keep it simple. Just use a boilerplate 2 to 3 sentence thing saying,
Yep.
I'm a rideshare driver concerned for the future of my work. um I would appreciate some of your time, and then maybe list 1 or 2 things uh or if you don't want their time, I always ask for their time. And
Yeah.
I don't always get it, but I always ask because I have got it
Steve,
before. So
Steve, to add to this, every representative on a state level and federal level, when you call in, it's recorded,
mhm,
and by regulation, they actually have to record that on a book. And
right.
then someone within that office reads that to the elected officials saying, hey, blah, blah, called. This is what they're looking to do.
Yeah.
Um, that's recorded.
I think the tough part for a lot of people to understand, like, we all want to say every politician's horrible. Most of them are. Okay. They got corrupt along the way or whatever, but there's some good ones out there too. And the problem is think about this. Look, my brain's always running. There's no way I could do this. And I mean, there's no way I could take in every bill and every single thing going on in this state and understand it. That's why I have 3 assistants. Those assistants get all the things, they run through them. And then when I'm going to have a Senate meeting on the floor and we're going to cover 3 topics, one of the assistants will brief me on those 3 topics.
Yeah.
That might be the first time I've heard of the topic.
Yep.
That does not make me a bad politician, though. That is
Yep.
literally they. I know everybody wants to go, you don't even know about this. You're my rep. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but honestly, dude, there's so much on their plate. They're not being jerks when it's that. if they're listening to their assistants and they're representing you properly on the floor, who cares? But I get a lot of people saying they don't even know about this stuff. Well, yeah, tell them about it. They don't know. You're right.
They don't know because they're not in our business. They're not in our industry. We don't have. I haven't met an elected official that's actually been from our industry. I haven't met an elected official that actually was a driver.
Stephanie Vigil was a House of Representatives member here that pushed through the DNC law.
Yeah,
and she was a delivery driver in Colorado Springs.
Oh, okay.
No political experience at all. She was elected during the pandemic.
Wow. Oh, I got to meet her now. Now I got to meet her.
I've had her on the podcast several times. Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, connect me with her. But again, the drivers and riders that are out there, I implore you, go reach out to your elected officials, send them a voicemail, send them a written letter saying, hey, we have to change these regulations. We have to change these, platforms to be better in providing a service to the public. End of story. It's upsetting when you hear about drivers getting,
But also don't write a book. But if you guys want to write more than a boilerplate like Rudy and I are trying to help you have, go for it. Say here's some things that directly affect or bother me, and just make bullet points. Boom, 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 boom. But just once you've once you've written it or emailed it and you've typed out hello and this is my name and I have a problem with this and you need to represent me on this and come on, I'm your constituent. At that point, you can just bullet point your issues. They're not stupid. They can read them.
No, yeah, they're all again, every elected official in the United States has someone in their team reading these and then making notes and then showing to the official like, hey, listen, your constituents actually have these problems. Let's address them. Let's do a town hall and let's send out an email and let's send out a presser or let's send out a postcard to you saying, hey, we got your concerns. We're going to look into it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, reach out to them, talk to them. I know we're looking at time, but
I want to get back to your stuff.
Yeah.
So again, if anybody's joining us at this point, or you just joined a little bit ago, we've been chatting about a lot of things, but now we're going to get back to what I've had Rudy on several times, and this has been a while coming. Free cab. It is spelled FURE.CAB. So it looks like Fure, but it's free. I think of it that way, but it's free FURE.CAB for the audio podcast listeners too. And check it out. But Rudy, where are we at? Again, guys, I'll put the links to our other times Rudy and I have talked, especially the first time, because I think we really covered the nuts and bolts of what he's doing. But where are we at now? I know it's been a minute.
It's been a minute. I originally supposed to launch the app last year. We ran into a couple of issues. I said this probably about this my third time saying this again. We just have to square out a couple of deals with a couple of partners that we're having with advertising companies. We're squaring out a couple of deals with an auto manufacturer. I don't want to say who it is yet. They're gonna do a whole presser about it. But other than that, we're on for Chicago, Philadelphia, Miami, Austin, and LA. That's already in the books. We got everything squared up to actually launch in those cities.
Say Philadelphia?
Yeah, Philadelphia.
Oh, I didn't even hear it that time. I'm so used to hearing only Philadelphia, and we'll get to the other markets later. So
we're going to open up these 5 markets for one. The biggest reason is that they're unique in a lot of ways. One of what the advertisers want, and talking to them, to reaching out to them, to showing what the service does or their product does. But 2 is that demographically, every city's pretty much the same, so we can compare apples to apples on how long they're driving, how long they're looking at the ads. Are the answers being questions? Are they looking at the ads? A lot of the questions the advertisers wanted to know, saying, hey, how come you're not pulling this off in New York? Well, New York's a big market. Number 2, it's crazy expensive. And number 3, like I said before, in order for me to get a license, I have to apply today, and I probably won't get my license until about a year down the road, or 7 months to 8 months down the road.
Mm-hmm.
In order to launch the service, I want to launch it now. So it made more sense of heading out to those cities saying, hey, listen, this is what we're doing. We're providing a free service. You watch a couple of ads on your phone, answer a couple of questions about the ads. We collect that data, send it to the advertisers. They make better ads. They make better products. It's a win-win for everybody on board. And it becomes a win-win for the passenger because one, they don't have to pay for the ride. They're just watching a couple of ads on their phone about their product or service. For the
So
drivers,
basically, I do want to at least mention this that so like if I remember right, maybe this option, hopefully it's still there. But like, so what he's saying is you can call for a ride. You need to get it from the bar home. You can call for a ride. You're going to get a ride, and it can be free. Obviously, I'm going to say something. You always tip the driver, though, guys. Come on. Find that tip money. Come on. But even though they're going to be paid well and stuff, whatever. But if people are watching the ads and engaging with them, maybe discounts or whatever, but if maybe they're going to the airport and it's a 30-minute ride and 15 minutes in, they realize I don't want to watch these anymore. They can pay for half of the ride, or is that still a thing?
Yeah, still a thing.
So like you can decide, you know what, I'd rather just pay for it and probably pay a fairer rate than Uber and Lyft anyway.
Yeah. We're not in the business of ripping off riders. We're not in the business of ripping off anyone. At the end of the day, we're human. I need to put food on the table like everybody else. So we do have to make a profit, but also I was a driver, so I understand the pains and struggles that they went through. Like, listen, they need money. They need to put food on the table. They need to pay bills. So they still get paid. It's the same thing with the riders. The riders are like, hey, you know what? I'm tired of watching, 5 minutes of ad. I don't want to watch it no more. Cool. Don't watch it. You're going to pay a prorated fare based on how much you watched. And that's it. It simplifies the experience of all three involved, the advertiser, the rider, and the driver. So at the end of the day, they're going to go, all right, cool. At least we have some sort of data that we can say, hey, this justifies why they like the ad. This justifies why they don't like the ad. Do they like it? They didn't like it. In the advertising world, the golden rule is that all the ads are being watched. On our platform, we developed an AI through your camera on your phone that looks at your eyes, and we know where you're looking on the screen on watching the ads. Advertisers asked in the beginning, like, how do you know what they're watching? Well, we developed an AI that actually looks at your eyes, and we know that when you look insert your box in front of your camera or in front of your phone, we know that you're looking inside that box and you're looking at the ads all the time.
Isn't that crazy how now it just flows off your tongue, AI? But 3 years ago, we didn't really have this boom in AI. And we were talking about the same thing, though. And that was a struggle. How am I going to get this to look at the eyes?
Well, no.
I'm saying 3 years ago, though. That was a bigger struggle than now. You could just go with the AI and go, there you
go. No. To be fair, the eye tracking technology actually has been around for about the last 15 years. The military had it. A couple other government agencies had it.
Well, I mean, of course, yeah. I mean, they have eye identification even, but I just didn't know what that cost was, and if you were going to put actual machines in the car.
No, it's all everything.
It's all through the phone.
We simplified it. Yeah, we simplified everything through the phone because number one, when you're in the back of a car and I got my rider in the back, he's doing this all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah, whatever, yeah. And that's what they're doing. So when I put the idea together and I put the service together and we did a test run, 5,000 drives, pretty much free rides. And everybody says, I want to sign up because one, I see how this can actually be huge. Two, I love watching ads anyway. So let me make a couple of, remarks or reviews about the ad and give it to the advertiser. When we show that data to advertisers, they're like, sign us up. Because I understand, one, they're looking at our ads. Number two, I can make a better product and service when they look at my ads because I'm going to ask them a question. Did you like the color? Did you not like the color? Do you understand what the product does? Do you understand what the service does? This is data that advertisers have a hard time getting, especially in a live setting or an A/B setting. We hyper localize the advertising to a point where if you're getting out from a gym and you're going to go to this particular restaurant, that restaurant's going to send an ad to you saying, hey, listen, if you come to our restaurant, we'll give you 50% off. Okay, I'll do this. Why not? I'll look at the ad, answer a couple questions about the ad, and that's it.
I would even see it being more like if you put in Steakhouse A that you're going to from the gym, Steakhouse B is going to be the ad that comes up.
Yeah.
Like, as in, not like today, change your course, come here, but like, hey, you want to try the best steak in Philly? Come here. We'll give you a BOGO next time.
Yeah.
And then they still go to where they're going, but then they're like, oh, I got that.
Yeah. Target,
You'll get
like,
advertisers that way too, because there's, I mean, if I make an Uber Eats video, who advertises on it? DoorDash.
I see that so many times.
So
I see that so many. You know how many times I've seen actually ads from competitors on their own app, which blows my mind. I'm like, I get the ad dollar aspect of it, but then on the flip side, I was like, well, oh, if you're watching our ad, why are you taking our Uber ride? You should be taking a ride with Lyft. And I'm like, holy smokes.
yeah. No,
But
man, you know, a lot of my 13s are like, even the title is like, DoorDash is dead and I'm going to see to it. There'll still be the ad on the video.
yeah,
Like before the video, that's the ad. Like, come work for
yeah.
DoorDash. I'm like, really? Like, I'm
On
about
an
to be
Uber, on
starving
an
in this
Uber.
video. But yeah, so
We're
okay, so
doing
you got the technology that can make, see, I also see that technology to me, but again, what can we do about it these days because of AI actually? Because it's everywhere at this point. It's already like leaked everywhere, but I feel like they're going to even look at your eye movements and rhythms and like, how into the Nike ad were you? Or were you more into the Adidas ad?
on AI, I won't explain more in detail about it, but we got to the point where um, our eye movements can tell a lot about what you're looking at and how you're looking at it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's one of the things that, for instance, like there is an old movie that's been out there for a while where you walk into a store, you see an ad in the store, it already knows that you're looking at the ad. That was literally about 25 years ago, that movie that came out. Fast forward today, we're not only on the app now we're at the point where there is a company out in it's in Texas. I can't remember the name of the company off the top of my head right now. But now they're actually going to start building billboards. What actually does the tech now? It actually looks at your eyes to see if you're actually looking at the ads on billboards.
I mean,
That's my
okay,
like
I want
that
to see
was
what I want to
25. That was 25 years ago.
Whatever that billboard company is, you want to impress me, tell me when the grand opening of your billboard in Las Vegas on the Strip is. I
Oh
will
my
fly
God.
out for it because I want to see how you're going to track 1 million people's eyes.
Yeah. 25 years ago, Steve, that movie came out. 20 or 30 years ago, that movie came out. And there's a company out now out in Texas that actually developed a billboard that can actually track your eyes looking at the billboard. They're trying to get up, from my understanding, they're trying to get a connection with a couple of billboards that are actually in New York City to do this. The technology is here, it's available, it works. The technology that we developed for our platform works. It's been proven. We've done 5,000 rides. This is one of the reasons why we're doing a crowdfunding campaign now. We've gotten to the point where I've met all the investors. A lot of them are like, it's hard to beat what
So is
Uber
that
and
like
Lyft are doing.
digital signage for the roof
Yeah,
that you're kind of talking, where you're talking about
yeah,
integrating that?
yeah. So,
Because I am familiar with it. Like, you can, I even saw in the news, one of the parties was protesting the other party with a digital board that they could change in real time
yeah,
as it was going. It was pretty cool.
it's live.
So, or the tech
So we're doing.
was about.
So we met with a bunch of investors. I've met with a lot of big name investors. A lot of them are like, we want to see actually get to some sort of ARR that's $100 million a year, so on and so forth, and reach these milestones, so on and so forth. So, but it made more sense of, hey, let's go out to the public and raise money from the public and get them involved. Because one, I don't want to do this to make money. Obviously, we got to turn a profit and put some food on the table, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, the crowdfunding made more sense because now we get the public involved and give the direction for the company to grow and help other people to actually get involved in doing this as well.
Because those big companies, I understand that footprint, what they look for, and like when you're doing your stats and you're like, dude, I'm not even launched it. You need that scene.
Yeah.
Like, to some of them, you're like, dude, wait a minute, I'm not gonna be talking to you for years. I almost feel like there could be something huge with keeping it local.
Yeah.
Kind of
It's better off.
team, you know
It's
what I
better
mean?
off.
Like, hey,
Yeah, it's better
we
off.
can.
Yeah, it's better off
Let's
keeping it
rebuild the
localized.
community. Let's quit building corporations in Amazon.
Yeah, yeah. When you have owner operator owners, it makes more sense for us because at the end of the day, our bread and butter is the drivers. That's why I give so much into the drivers. That's why I spew saying, hey, listen, talk to your local officials. The only thing that's going to change in the industry is that every driver gets, together and saying, hey, these are the rules and regulations that we want in our state or in our county or in our local city. Nothing's going to change. If none of you guys say, if you say nothing, nothing's going to happen. If you get together and start talking to these officials, things change. So in order for a company to us grow, it made more sense of, hey, let's do a crowdfunding campaign, get a lot of drivers involved, get a lot of riders involved, get a bunch of people involved in joining us and helping us grow. So that, we're going to be doing a crowdfunding campaign next month. The site's going to go live. Everybody's going to see how the app works. Everybody's going to see how much they can commit into partaking into the crowdfunding campaign. They're going to see the A to Bs. They're going to see the FAQs on, why we're doing this, how we're doing this, how everybody can benefit in using the platform. But at the end of the day, I'm sick and tired of paying for, a $90 Uber ride just to only go 10 miles down the road. Which at the end of the day, when you talk to a lot of
a dirty, nasty car too these days.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry to the rideshare drivers I know and a lot of the regulars who watch this or listen on the audio podcast. I am not obviously talking about you. I know your standards. You guys are tight. You're awesome. But I'm telling you, when I order a car here in Denver, it is not you guys, my audience, picking me up. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm stepping on dirty laundry in an Uber X.
No, it's not even French fries.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I mean,
I look on the floor. I'm like, bro, you got French fries back here. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, don't you know you're supposed to keep a clean car? Don't you want that 5-star review? You're not going to get a 5-star review having a dirty car.
But remember in 2015, Rudy, like you remember when rideshare first came around and we were being paid so well that it's like every night I cleaned my car. I filled it up with gas. It looked immaculate, sparkling outside. Nobody does that anymore. And I can't say that I even blame them, dude. I mean, fries and dirty laundry. Okay, that's a little far, guys. You could at least throw the trash out. Come on. You cannot be that lazy, but cleaning it and Armor All and all that stuff, that's gone, dude. People aren't going to, why would they do that?
No.
You're being paid less than the mileage deduction.
On my platform, you're going to get paid to actually clean your car. We're going to give you money to bring it to a car wash. It just doesn't make sense.
And they're going to be your cars. You're going to have signage. You're probably going to wrap the damn thing.
Yep.
I imagine the wrap will just be for
drivers.
You guys.
When drivers sign up,
free cab.
Yeah, so when drivers sign up, they have the option. They'll get a couple of $100 a month to actually get the cars wrapped. And a lot of drivers we spoke to, like, oh, sure, if it's an extra $200 in my pocket every month, sign me up. I'll do it.
Yep.
Again, I'm a driver. I've been doing this for a bunch of years. I know the crazy BS that these apps have been doing. It doesn't make sense. That's why I advocate of everybody actually getting on to the elected officials saying, hey, I want change. Here's my things that we should get changed. That's why I developed the app. That's why I developed the company. It was like, hey, I know what the problems are. Drivers are not getting paid. The lowest I heard up to now, right now, is 30%. And when she showed me on her app that she got 30% on that fare,
yeah,
it doesn't make sense anymore.
Well, that's and there you go right there. They've always overcharged. We always knew they'd go higher, but we kind of, I think there was hope. We knew, I mean, we had seen too much bad, but there was hope that maybe we'd get a little piece of that, a little trickle down to the driver as the prices increased to the customer. It didn't, and it went the other way. But that's what's showing more money, more revenue coming in, is that exact move. It's the spread. It's not the volume.
Again, that tweet about Gerber saying, Tesla trying to do the robotaxi, they are so far down the road. It's not even funny.
No.
That 10% margin that he's talking about, they're gonna keep, like, when was the last time Uber actually became a profitable quarter?
I think there's two.
One time.
I think there's two.
Kind of.
But again,
officially,
but off camera, I think you and I would both agree that one didn't count. But we'd probably agree the first one didn't count either because they sold off assets to make that profit.
Yeah.
So it's not like, again, they didn't make money. They decided to sell off their fake autonomous divisions.
Again, drivers, riders, watching the podcast, listening to the podcast, call your elected officials. Nothing's going to change in the industry if you don't call.
And for, you
Reach
know
out
what,
to
I do
Steve.
need to add this because this is the perfect time. Listen, guys, if you don't think it makes a difference, here, let me tell you why it makes a huge difference right now, because the elected officials do understand more. And like with Uber investors have a group now. It won't sound big to you, but it's pretty, that this number is pretty damn big. It's 6 or 7% of the investors in Uber are pushing a motion with the Trades Commission that they
FTC.
see more breakdown in gig app earnings, especially Uber specifically. That's who's they're going after, but then they'll catch them all in a net like Rico. But Uber specifically, the investors are going, dude, wait a minute. We need to see way more. You can't just say, here's what we made, here's what we paid the drivers, here's this, go away. Like now they're like, we need to see exactly how many drivers, what markets, how much they're making. Because here's why. Because finally, after all these years, even being public, before public, it was just all fake.
Smoke and mirrors.
But now, since it's even been public, it took investors this long to come along to understand autonomous is not real. And by that, I mean, it's not going to be here. It's not even in 10 years, full autonomous will not be here, period. So my point is, when they're lying to you every year, and every year they've lied to them, well, the investors have now heard from some of the people like I have, now that the conversation's getting bigger.
Yeah.
And so you have people in the autonomous space crossing paths with investors, and they saying, dude, that's not real. And like, that's scaring the hell out of them. So they're going back to Uber and saying, listen, you have to show us, because if these people can't make a living wage, we're never going to earn a dime.
And it's scary because Jason Caladenis feared, like he's still going all about Uber. I think he's coming to the realization that, at the end of the day, these guys actually have to, start walking the walk, because if they can't, no one's going to invest into what he's doing, because at the end of the day, people are going to realize, like, hey, I say I love Uber, buy Uber, but there's no clarity, there's no transparency in how they're providing their books. When you look at their S1 every year, because I do, you're like, wait, you said this year, but last year it's a different number. Why?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because everything's moving parts all the times. That's how they keep it confusing. Even the algorithm. I have nightmares about like some auditing team that's like huge and massive, almost like a SWAT team coming in and dropping down on lines onto Uber and going, that's it. We're getting into the algorithm. We've got the warrant. We show us the way. And they're like, here, go at it. And they're laughing at the agents, because they're like, dude, we have so many traps in there for you to never, ever find the real. So it's like, what are you gonna do? I've said, what are you going to audit an algorithm?
You probably could. You probably could, but then, you have to be shown how to audit it,
Right.
I developed a transparent company because at the end of the day, I've been doing this for a long time. It doesn't make sense.
My point about the investors, though, was finally, this is how public this kind of news is. Whereas before I'd talk about this and people just weren't hearing it. But now the customers know too. So the customers are actually finally ready to look for an alternative. There was a few years I don't think they would have as much. But they're a little more open-minded to go, man, like you. I don't want to spend $90 to go to the airport. What does yours cost? It's free. Come on, dude. Well, even if you want to pay, it's only 40 or whatever, okay. So, and then you explain to them. But my point is, I think that people are ready for something new. I think they're sick of this crap. The customers too.
No. But it's just like, it's kind of weird to, when you have riders that have been doing it for like the last 6, 7, 8 years, and you talk to them, and when I asked them that question, it's like, why do you still use Uber? Well, because it's the only one in town. The horse blinders, bro. There's other apps out there. There's Alto. There's a bunch of other apps that are out there that are better, provide a better service. There's a company out of Atlanta, Georgia, that actually does security service. They have armed drivers. Yeah. That's like hop, skip, and drive for kids. There's a lot of other terms out there.
Let me tell you one thing though. For instance, so like I had a guest on from Bowling Green, Kentucky, and he's been on a few times. Larry, he's a rideshare driver. They used to have 3 taxi companies in Bowling Green, and then Uber and Lyft came to town. They kind of disrupted like they did in every market. There is now 0 taxis in that town of Bowling Green.
It's sad because the taxi industry has been around since, the dawn of the horse and carriage. And a lot of these guys built their careers, lives, put kids in college, stuff like that. And now it's gone. It's evaporated. You go to New York City. Now, it's kind of funny because in New York City now, the TLC said, all right, cool, we're going to develop an app for the taxi drivers.
Mm-hmm.
How many people in New York City actually know about the app for the yellow cabs?
Yeah.
Because they don't promote it. They don't
part of
advertise
the
it.
problem there was Uber had them on their app 2 or 3 times for like a week. Oh, we're going to put yellow cab on. Get off our app. So they've confused people. Like, well, didn't it used to be in the Uber app? I'll just get an Uber.
Like, it's not. I don't want the fall of Uber or Lyft to go down, but at the end of the day, they have to change what's going on because an app like mine, Cyan Bannister, the reason why she actually, joined us was that she realized that there needs to be change. And this is, a couple of years ago. And she realized then and she realized it now. Because at the end of the day, if they don't change, they're going to get destroyed. They're going to get to the point where you're going to have congressional hearings saying, listen, now you have to change. Now we're going to put a law together, a federal law together now saying you have to change. And then Uber's going to go, all right, cool. You know what? We'll throw our hands up. We'll close shop. We're done.
In America, then they'll just move to other countries and screw around there. I mean, anywhere they are, you can go find horror stories.
Oh, there's horror stories every day. I meet with these drivers.
I mean, but in
every
any
day.
country,
I go to the
too.
airport.
There's no country operating well with Uber.
No.
The drivers are just as pissed as we are in Barcelona. And they have to physically fight the cab drivers there. The cab drivers.
I heard stories. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I heard they got blocked in a couple of times. I heard that they pulled a guy out of the car, out of the window, out of the car, beat the shit out of him. Excuse me, but beat the crap out of him.
They have a thing now where they take these, those like, I think they're martial art related. They're not throwing stars, but they're like daggers, and they stick one in every tire of the Uber and Lyft, in all 4 tires.
Yeah.
They just walk up to him and go.
Because they realize that, we're a technology company. No, bro, you're not a technology company. You're just a dispatch company that's glorified. That's about it. The same thing with me. I'm a dispatch company. I'm a glorified dispatch company that offers free rides. I have no shame what they're doing, but I have a problem with what they're doing. And at the end of the day, again, for the riders and drivers reading and listening to this, talk to your elected officials. Nothing's ever going to change in the industry. It's still going to be the same. The same shit in is going to get the same shit out. That's it.
So when are the markets launching? And do you have a last words of wisdom you want to say to everybody? But I do want to know, are these all like combined as one launch date now?
Yeah.
Or is this
one launch date?
So there's going to be one city. So now I'm
next month.
Very in
next
the dark
month.
Here.
Next month, the crowdfunding campaign goes live. Once we collect those funds, we're going to do a couple of beta tests in those cities to show the elected officials, hey, this is legit. This is what the drivers get. This is what the riders get. This is what the advertising community gets. A lot of the advertisers that I met up to now love us. I can't talk more about, who they are and what they're about. Target loves Target rides. Every ride is a Target ride. They're like, hey, you're going to pick them up from the gym and going to bring them to our store? Sign us up. Walmart, a bunch of others out there. Audi, a bunch of others out there. Love it. At the end of the day, it's not, they created a problem. Uber and Lyft created a problem. But at the end of the day, we became the solution from that problem. Working for these guys for a couple of years, realized like, listen, it doesn't make sense anymore. You're ripping us off. We're not making enough money. We're getting hurt. A lot of us are dying. A lot of us actually can't meet our wives. I met a guy last Sunday when I went to Philly. He couldn't go to the hospital to go see his wife's kid, the first newborn, because he actually had to be out on the road to actually drive.
Yeah. I mean, this is just kind of the weird thing about now is this is kind of everywhere. I'm hearing these stories from people with W-2s, and I mean, this is just kind of everybody right now. trying to figure things out. But yeah, I hear you. It's almost like, here's how I see it. It's almost like Uber's getting away with how bad it is now because it's so bad for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Either be
W-2,
me,
and everybody's tightened in the reins. So it's like, yeah, we hear you complaining, but dude, we're complaining now too. Like,
because they're going to normalize it. Folks have to realize they're going to normalize it to the point where it's normal now. It's part of the industry.
mm-hmm.
You know, in the beginning, you know, taxi cab drivers are getting assaulted too. But then they realize, like, oh, listen, let's put a bulletproof glass. All right, they didn't get assaulted no more. That's
Right.
until, you know, you had 50 drivers die in 1 year going, we can't have this no more. We have to change this. That was only New York City. We got 50 other cities that were tackling, saying, hey, here's our rules and regulations. Cool. I abide by those rules and regulations. These are the things that we're going to do. But at the end of the day, when you have someone who comes on new onto the block and changes and throws a monkey wrench into the program, these guys are not going to be happy because they're going to realize, like, oh, you know what? We have a real strong competitor. Steve, at the end of the day, I've done 5,000 rides. 5,000 people turned out to 15,000 people who signed up. Out of those 50,000 people kept on saying, is like, I want to sign up too because it's free. I cannot afford a $90 ride every week to go to work. And that's not only one person, that was 15,000 people that signed up said that. Once we launch, and we're probably looking at August, September of this year officially, I'm going to fly you out, and a couple of podcasters and a couple of people come down and check it out for themselves.
Right,
I'm excited. I'm excited for crowdfunding. People are excited about the crowdfunding as well. And the only way we change this industry is that we do things that make sense. It doesn't make sense to, you know, steal 70% of the fare from a driver where his wife's actually in the hospital having a firstborn and he can't be there because he's not making enough money. You know, that guy down in Philadelphia, not Philadelphia, in Orlando, who got shot in the head because he was taking his girl from a club, and the guy comes out and realizes, like, hey, what are you doing, my girl? Pulls out a gun.
Yeah.
Unlifed them right there. You know, it's mind blowing that a lot of these platforms are not helping the drivers. Your driver is your bread and butter. You don't take care of them, they walk away.
Yeah. And then you get some of these cities where they don't see any kind of violence like Philadelphia or Denver has. And, you know, they're like, that doesn't happen in my market. And I always think, dude, don't say that. You're going to curse it. Like, literally, it's going to happen tonight in your market now, damn it. Like, because you said it, because it does. If anybody that thinks this doesn't happen in my market, we don't see things like that, it's going to happen tomorrow then. I hate to say that, but I mean, it's everywhere. And if you have your blinders on like that, you're not being safe.
You're not paying attention.
Even delivery drivers are getting robbed or mugged or killed or so carjacked. I mean, you gotta have your two cents about you. You gotta have your wits about you, and you gotta be paying attention all the time. And it's not just a night thing. I've had people tell me I don't drive at night. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
You don't think psychopaths are out in the day?
And it's kind of nuts because if the guy wants your car, he's gonna follow you, wait until you get out of the car to drop that order off. He's running in that car and driving off.
Yeah.
And it could be 8 o'clock in the morning. It could be midday. It could be 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If they want your car, or if they want to steal your money, or they want to get to your phone, they're going to do whatever it takes. The camera regulation that's out there now makes sense. A lot of states should be adopting those, especially in New York City, especially in the big cities like LA, Miami, New York, Chicago. They should have a regulation in the book saying, hey, if you're going to do rideshare in our city, we want a camera in the car.
So
it not only protects the drivers, not only protects the riders.
Counter to it, though, because even Governor Polis, who normally I'm not really right there with him, he's really done a lot of damage to the state. Again, you have to live in a state to understand your politicians. You can hear stories, but it's not the same. But even he stepped up here and said, I'm not sure I dig this. He's like, I love this. I love the security sense. He goes, but he even said, I feel like you guys have more negotiating to do. See, to me, it's more like, I don't want Uber having the data. I have a dash. No. So offer new drivers or drivers, like, you know, $40 or send them $40 to get a dash cam, because you can get an SD card dash cam for $40 and Yeah, I mean, it does record over itself within 48 hours, but usually you're going to know when you need a piece of data.
Yeah.
So you would pull it or whatever and have a little training about it or whatever, but give them a supplemental income bonus, whatever you want to call it. Since we're ICs, you can't have it be a company car. A lot of conflict comes in here. So it's just give them some money and make sure that they have a camera. Like they have to take a picture of it and they have to certify that they are using a camera at all times when doing rideshare. And guys, this, and I hate saying this, but by doing that, if there was a time you're doing rideshare and you have the camera off, your ass is gone. Like
Yeah.
it's, first of all, Uber tries to always walk away and not have any liability in any situation, but it would absolutely, in the case that I'm proposing, be if you're not running it, you're gone. If you don't have video footage of any time they're calling for, you're done. But I just would, I mean, I feel better having my data and mine goes up to the cloud, but I feel better with the real company that does it, not Uber. I don't want Uber having that data.
Because at the end of the day, Steve, it's the possibility of Uber actually manipulating our video. Oh, we never got it. Oh, somehow it got corrupted. Oh, what video? We didn't have that video. Somehow it was offline. Somehow it never got recorded. Really?
Right. And then it'll probably be, I don't know, man, maybe the driver had it unplugged.
Oh, the excuses are going to come out the door like it's,
And if they have to do this and they say they're going to leave if it passes. And for those of you wondering, like, well, okay, when is this happening? And blah, it's actually happening May 7th. The decision will be made May 7th if this is going to be law. Because they take a break on the 8th. So it's the last Senate hearing meeting. It's May 7th. It's coming up. And they already have 59-7 in the House for this bill. And they ran it by a 11-person Senate committee and 11-0. They voted yes on it. And now they're going to put it on the Senate floor. I mean, it's going to pass.
You know what? The funny thing about Uber saying that they're going to leave, that's a scare tactic, obviously. But number two, if Uber does leave, you got so many other alternatives out there in Colorado that actually provide rides. You don't have to stick with Uber at the end of the day.
Well, you won't be able to.
Well,
here, I mean, like that'll be interesting. All these people with the Uber app going, wait a minute, what?
It doesn't work here no more? What do you mean? Who do I use? Oh, there's a lot of other services they can use that are out there. So, there's co-ops. There's so many.
So I guess that's my biggest issue with this is I don't want Uber storing my data. That's the end.
They shouldn't
right there.
Yeah,
I know, but the state's requiring that they hold that data for up to a year.
That's a scary thought because at the end of the day, was the camera on? It was on, but you didn't keep it, or somehow got corrupted.
Right, but as I understand it, that's all going to be on Uber. It's your camera. If it's on, I mean, maybe they're going to do a connectivity thing again. I think they're going to leave if it happens, and we'll see it play out. They'll hope that something changes, and then they'll come. I think they'll come back, but I think they could leave with this one.
Look what happened in Minnesota.
But we'll see. I mean, I really don't know because I don't see. I mean, the other way would have to be that somehow in the driver app, there's a connectivity with the Bluetooth now as well with the camera showing that your camera is on. And if it's not, you can't turn the app on. I mean, do you see all the issues here already?
Of course. I'm ready in my back of my mind. I'm like, I can see how many BS stories are going to say that they never got the video, or the video got leaked, or the video got corrupted, or it never got recorded. It never connected to the network. It never went onto the cloud. Oh, there's a laundry list already in the back of my head saying, all the shit they can try to say that to try to get out of it.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So you guys check out FureCab, FURE.CAB. You can see what he's up to. He's launching in those cities. And my guess is that after, 60 days, not that you'll have all the answers, but after the crowdfunding starts, it'll be about 60 days. You might have some kind of idea.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're not fully together yet, but look, this is what we've done so far, and it's growing. Like where I'd be able to say, where are these launch dates looking like? So
60 to 90 days right after a crowdfunding campaign. Once we get a lot of things in order with the investors, once they come on board, we're going to do a meet and greet. They're going to talk with me. They're going to talk with the team. They're going to understand where we're at, what we're doing. At the end of the day, we're a unique platform. I'm not trying to sell hard here, but at the end of the day, we're just, we're doing better than what they're doing. That's what I'm going to say.
I guess for all the people that have listened, maybe even the people who've been listening for a long time, who've heard you on before, here we are in April 27th of 2025, and it is coming soon to some cities. So here's the best thing is that a lot of you already have the buzz about it from this podcast. So, I mean, like, if you've heard this, when you do see it in your market, there you go. When you see wait, what is
when
this?
it launches,
You hear somebody say, what is this free cab? And you get to go, wait, that actually launched? I know those guys. What the hell?
We know, like when we did the test drives, and they showed their aunts and uncles and friends, or whatever. Literally within a 24-hour period, we had the whole family line signing up. We know the virality is how it was, like the day that we actually launched. This is going to go very viral very quickly. We know that. I'm not banking on it, but we know because people can go, I finally got a ride that's actually free.
Yeah. Well, Rudy, always a pleasure. Thank you for coming on. And obviously the next progression step, we'll do something again. I mean,
we will.
If something happens in a month, let me know. We'll get something going.
I'm gonna fly out here. We finally get to meet. We finally get to have dinner, talk shop, and change the industry. Again, the people who are watching this podcast, listening to it, call your elected officials. Call them and tell them that you want change in the industry. Nothing's going to change if you don't say anything.
Mm-hmm. And there's probably changes being made by those elected officials that they're not very aware of anyway. Yeah. Like I said, they're getting better, but they don't know everything. So like contact them before they sign Prop 22 into your state.
Yep.
Because that's not what you're going to want. So anyway, thank you everybody for joining. Have a great Sunday, and we'll see you back here a couple times this week. Peace, y'all.